25 miles per gallon. That's not a hybrid car, it's a private airplane. The Otto Celera 500L costs approximately $5 million and burns fuel like your SUV. But there's a catch. This plane doesn't even use a jet engine. Here's why. Performance and range. The Celera 500L isn't just another business aircraft. It's Otto Aviation's attempt to prove that a private plane can sip fuel like a car while still crossing the country non-stop. And the numbers, if they hold up through full certification testing, are staggering. Power comes from a single red A03 engine, a liquid-cooled V12 diesel that runs on jet fuel or biodiesel and produces approximately 550 horsepower. The engine splits into two independent six-cylinder banks, so if one bank fails, the other keeps the aircraft flying, twin-engine redundancy from a single power plant. That engine has already earned its own type certification from both the FAA and EASA, even though the aircraft built around it is still working through flight testing. Otto Aviation projects a maximum speed of approximately 460 miles per hour, with cruise settling closer to 450 miles per hour at high altitude. Range is projected at approximately 4,500 nautical miles, enough to connect any two cities in the continental United States without stopping for fuel, something almost no aircraft this size can claim. Here's the number that matters most. Otto Aviation says the Celera achieves between 18 and 25 miles per gallon. A comparable light jet, burning fuel hard at high altitude, typically manages only 2 to 3 miles per gallon. That's up to 8 times better fuel economy, achieved not through some exotic new engine, but through a fuselage shaped to nearly eliminate drag. That efficiency comes down to airflow. Laminar flow means air moves over the fuselage in smooth, unbroken layers instead of the chaotic, turbulent flow that drags at a conventional jet's skin. Otto Aviation designed the Celera without protruding antennas, external vents, or exposed rivets in the critical laminar flow zones. And even the engine's cooling system is built around low-drag heat exchangers rather than the draggy radiator scoops found on most piston aircraft. Every one of those small choices adds up to the 59% drag reduction the company claims. Twin-stage turbocharging is designed to let the Celera climb as high as 50,000 feet, well above weather and commercial traffic, where thin air rewards its efficient shape even further. Balanced field takeoff distance comes in at approximately 3,500 to 4,000 feet, putting smaller regional airports within reach. Worth being upfront about, these are Otto Aviation's own projections. The prototype has completed more than 50 test flights, but with a less powerful test engine than the planned production version, meaning the full performance envelope hasn't been independently verified yet. But wait until you see the inside. This egg-shaped fuselage hides a surprisingly spacious, whisper-quiet cabin. Exterior design. Look at the Celera on the ramp, and you'll understand immediately why people call it the flying egg. The fuselage is teardrop-shaped, wide in the middle and tapering at both ends, built entirely around one goal: sustaining smooth, laminar airflow from nose to tail. Long, slender wings stretch 55 feet across a fuselage just 35 feet long, an unusually high aspect ratio most business aircraft never attempt. Combined with the laminar flow skin, Otto Aviation claims this shape cuts drag by up to 59% compared to a similarly sized traditional aircraft. The 5-blade propeller sits at the very rear in a pusher configuration, so nothing disrupts airflow over the nose or cabin. The prototype's smooth composite skin is built without the rivets, seams, or gaps that normally interrupt laminar flow. Every surface engineered, not just styled. A small ventral fin beneath the tail protects the pusher propeller from strikes during takeoff and landing, while the aircraft's unusual proportions have drawn comparisons to niche aerodynamic experiments like the 1948 Planet satellite. Proof that laminar flow, pusher prop designs have tempted engineers for decades, even if none have reached production at this scale. Cabin. Step inside the Celera and the exterior's odd proportions suddenly make sense. That bulbous fuselage creates a cabin with genuine standing room, something most 6-seat aircraft simply can't offer. Cabin height reaches approximately 6 feet 2 inches, so passengers over 6 feet tall can stand comfortably rather than duck through the aisle. Otto Aviation lists total interior volume at approximately 448 cubic feet, more than a Beechcraft King Air 350 and nearly 50% larger than a Citation CJ3. The layout is straightforward: 6 customizable first-class style seats, all facing forward, with a private lavatory at the rear. There's no attempt at multiple living zones like you'd find in a larger jet. The entire cabin is built around 6 passengers traveling in real comfort on longer flights. One advantage of that rear-mounted pusher engine becomes obvious the moment the cabin door closes. With the propeller and power plant sitting well behind the passengers instead of on the wings or nose, cabin noise levels are noticeably lower than in a typical piston or turboprop aircraft. For a 6-passenger aircraft, that's a genuinely rare feature. One trade-off worth mentioning: the flight test prototype omits traditional cabin windows entirely, since window seams can disrupt the laminar airflow Otto Aviation depends on for its efficiency numbers. The production version is expected to resolve this, and lessons from the Celera are already feeding into Otto Aviation's next design: a jet-powered aircraft that reportedly replaces windows altogether with large digital displays. And the operating costs? They might be the most jaw-dropping number in this entire video. We'll get there shortly. Cockpit. The Celera's flight deck is intentionally unremarkable, and for a 6-seat aircraft, that's exactly the point. The prototype flies with Garmin's G500 avionics suite, the same family of glass cockpit displays found in aircraft like the Pilatus PC-12 and King Air. Otto Aviation designed the aircraft around a single power control lever managing the diesel engine's twin banks, cutting down on the workload pilots normally juggle in more complex aircraft. 2 pilots typically operate the Celera, though the systems are laid out with single pilot operation in mind for future variants. There's nothing exotic here: no touchscreens borrowed from a supercar, no radical redesign of how pilots fly. Otto Aviation's philosophy was to spend its innovation budget on the airframe, not the cockpit, keeping the flying experience as familiar as possible for transitioning pilots. Connectivity is one area where Otto Aviation has been more ambitious, planning Iridium-class satellite communication and Wi-Fi data link for passengers and crew. Features usually reserved for larger, far more expensive business jets. Costs and pricing. Here's where the Celera's entire pitch comes together. Otto Aviation has targeted a price around $5 million, positioning the aircraft closer to a large turboprop like the Pilatus PC-12 than to a traditional light jet costing 2 or 3 times as much. That price hasn't been finalized, since the aircraft is still working toward full certification, but it's the figure Otto Aviation has consistently pointed to. The real story is what happens after you buy one. Otto Aviation projects an all-in operating cost of approximately $328 per flight hour. A comparable light jet typically costs approximately $2,100 per flight hour to operate, nearly 7 times more. Over a single year of flying, that gap adds up to potentially millions of dollars in savings. Put another way, at typical charter pricing, the Celera's low operating cost could translate to a cost per seat mile competitive with a commercial airline ticket. The entire premise behind Otto Aviation's original pitch. It's also worth noting the program has slipped well past its original 2025 service entry target. A reminder that ambitious aerodynamic claims like these often take longer to certify than to announce. Most of that advantage traces back to fuel. At 18 to 25 miles per gallon, the Celera burns roughly what a mid-size SUV burns, not what a jet burns. Diesel engines are also inherently more fuel efficient than turbine engines at these power levels, and Otto Aviation says maintenance intervals on the red engine run longer than typical turbine overhaul schedules, trimming costs even further. Who is this aircraft actually for? Charter operators chasing lower per-seat costs, owner pilots tired of 6-figure annual fuel bills, and anyone drawn to the idea of business jet range and comfort without the business jet fuel receipts. Whether Otto Aviation delivers on every claim remains to be seen. But if even half of this holds up, it changes the math on private aviation completely. The Celera 500L might be the most radical fuel efficiency experiment in private aviation right now. Would you fly in something this unconventional? For another aircraft built around a wild, unconventional design, check out our video on the Cobalt Valkyrie. See you there!